Welcome back to the PSM podcast. I'm your host for today, Chris Short, and I'm thrilled to have everyone join us. As always, we'll be diving into engaging conversations with my friends and co-hosts Christian Tejedis and Ian Rinyan. Together, we explore everything from current events to personal stories, all while sharing our unique perspectives. So whether you're on your morning commute or pretending to work from home, grab something to drink and prepare for some laughs. Trust me, it's way more entertaining than just scrolling social media. So let's get started.
I can vouch for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey guys.
So what's up, fellas? How's it
Hey.
going?
Yeah, good. So far, good. A bit rainy, but good.
Yeah, it's also raining on where I am.
Yeah, here too. Yeah, it's nonstop. It was raining earlier. Now it's a beautiful day by the beach.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in the last episode we talked kind of about pop culture or whatever a little bit. We talked about the passing of the great James Earl Jones. Today I wanted to bring something that's maybe a little heavier. Um, so on Monday, Russia finished a 7-day military exercise that was the largest that they have done in 30 years. There were as many as 90,000 troops and like 500 ships and aircraft, and it was huge. It was across the world, and apparently Putin said 15 friendly nations would observe what Moscow was doing, but only China would take part alongside Russia. And I quote, Putin said, "We are paying special attention to strengthening cooperation with our friendly countries. This is especially important today amid rising geopolitical tension around the world." Now they call this Ocean 2024, and it comes as Putin and Xi Jinping have kind of vowed to strengthen their alliance. Now, um, I'll go to you first, Christian.
Yeah.
Um, considering our location on the globe, uh, and the fact that these are I guess two of the top three largest militaries on Earth, is this a friendly gathering amongst friends, or is this two potential bullies joining forces?
Yeah, these two have been in a marriage for a very long time now, right? Since
Hmm.
well, let's bring in North Korea into the mix because they share borders. Like, let's not kid
Right.
Yeah,
ourselves. The main reason
there's
for their
a
partnership is just actually protecting their borders, not letting people outside of those borders. And if there was ever anyone actually going out the country, they have an agreement to deport them back to the country of origin. So
True.
it's not a secret that these three countries, particularly for this one, just specifically China, is in a marriage with Russia. Like for the sake of my location here, our location, the Philippines usually is placed in the middle of this for the sake of military positioning, just for the sake of strategical purposes for the military. Like the Philippines is still currently in a spat with China, particularly when it comes to territories and fishing zones. So
Hmm.
yeah.
in any case, this would be friendly for the two parties. But I could
Hmm.
understand what if other countries actually see this as some sort of a signal that hey, in a joint venture, we're actually more powerful than you think.
Right. So, yeah, that's very, very true. So, Ian, I want to ask you, like, on like from an economic perspective, right? Like, in what ways would you say Russia and China collaborating economically? And are there any benefits for the rest of the world for these two guys to be like buddy buddy?
Mm, I don't know because there's a lot of stuff going on about Russia and China, and
Mm,
let's not forget Russia has been sanctioned because of what they're doing to Ukraine. as of this moment. So for some reason, Russia had to uh scale back its distancing from China because of the Sino-Soviet split back in the 1970s, and they have to recourse to the Chinese economy to bolster their own. And quite frankly, it does it does minimize the Chinese trade um uh uh activity in the for the rest of the world, given how large Russia is. But let's not fool ourselves. Geopolitically and economically speaking, this is a bit of I don't want to say war footing, but it's something that perhaps is um quite concerning,
Mm.
whether you have any standpoint regarding the uh Sino-Russian relations or not. It's definitely a bit of a doozy that these guys are buddy buddy. And as Christian mentioned, North Korea
Mm.
should also be mentioned here because uh, they have a common triple border uh, in the eastern parts of Russia and of China, and then there's North Korea
Mhm.
down south. So they have a triple border, and given their given their current let's just say uh political ideologies, it may not be as common or as homogeneous as it should be. But you know Russia's been there, but there's still traces of it. And then there's China and North Korea, whose ideologies are still alive and kicking. And by the way, I just wanted to let you know that I also have some snacks here, so I might be eating during this
Do you,
podcast. So
do you think?
yeah, and besides, it's noodles. It's a bit rainy, so yeah. I just wanted to I just wanted to lighten up lighten this up because I know that this is very very heavy. So
It
that's my
is.
that's my take on it, Chris.
All right,
Yeah,
perfect.
it is strange that, like, I think people forget that these two were actually enemies before. like,
mm,
like, but if you think about it, they are not strange bedfellows. Like, they both have pretty much the same structure when it comes to their government, their beliefs, just for their own selfish reasons alone.
right.
Just so happened they found solace in each other when the world actually saw them as a particular or alleged threat at
Do
this
you think
point.
this is a
As
do
per
you think
IS, I guess.
yeah, do you think their relationship is more of the enemy of my enemy is my friend?
I don't I don't think so. I think this is more of a I think this is more of necessity for the part of Russia at this point, because a lot of sanctions were
Mm,
given to them regarding all the Ukraine stuff. In
mhm.
terms of China, like, the US has also imposed a lot of bans regarding their products, and who else would actually buy them at a premium than the ones that actually really need it? And what better way to actually display the advancements of your products than through this?
Right.
Like, the products of China is no longer plastics; it's now completely gunpowder and technology. Like,
Yeah.
Very
there's no
true.
better way to actually showcase their products than
Hmm.
fear. So
Bullets and chips.
Yeah.
yeah, even
Yeah.
chips are
Well,
actually scary because the recent election, current election trend now in the U.S., I think
mm,
it has also grazed a lot of people's mind that possibly hacking is also in play now,
yeah.
considering who is actually part the presidential race.
You know what? Speaking of the presidential race, I want to make a prediction, not about who's going to win. I have no idea, honestly, because of what I'm about to say. My prediction. I think the last election was tainted, let's say, with accusations, with oddities, with misinformation, I'm sure, in a lot of cases. Some cases, we have the conspiracies, and for the last few years, conspiracies are conspiracies until they're proven true. But
I don't
my
think the last
prediction for
elections
this,
were tainted, by the way. But please
well,
continue.
not the process, but the overall opinion of the election was tainted by,
The perception of people
certain, yeah,
regarding
yeah,
democracy in the US.
yeah. Whether the election was tainted or not, I don't know. But the perception was definitely like, some people say, oh, it was, they stopped the steal or whatever it is they talk about. And but I think this one is going to be even more messy.
Oh yeah, I can sense it right now. I can sense that it's gonna be messy, and it's gonna be messier
Yeah.
as time goes on.
Like the mere mention
And
of these two countries right now, like the mere fact that we're discussing what's the meaning of these joint exercises. If you think about it, a presidential candidate that's mostly close with these two countries, like you would understand why people would actually give pause regarding their opinions on the possibility of a Trump win, right?
mm,
And if it's not going to be questioned with his ties regarding these two countries, then what are we doing here? Like, why even be suspicious in the first place of these two countries when it's morally accepted if it's if a president actually endorses them?
right. Well, I think there's a big shift if Trump becomes president,
Yeah,
because I highly doubt that Putin and Xi see Biden or Harris as peers. Now, whether or not they see Trump as a peer, I don't know, but he's got to be a lot closer than those two.
Yeah,
You know what I
in
mean?
addition,
Like,
I think this question particularly is for you, Chris, since you are in the unique position of actually being in the US military.
mm,
Like, do you
yeah.
see this as possibly something that the US military could actually be seen as a threat or be seeing as a
um, yeah. Well, yes, I think it's important to remember that the United States is always under threat. It's just threat level, and this definitely escalates an internal threat level. I don't know if boots on the ground Joes are concerned, but I guarantee you the upper echelon guys are keeping an eye on this. And um, just for that reason, like obviously we have troops all over the world.
okay.
Um, and
Even
when I
here,
was in
Yeah.
yeah, when I was in Korea, I don't remember the year, 2012 maybe. Well, I remember the years I was in Korea. I don't remember what year this happened, but the North Korea bombed that island of South Korea. And we
Yeah.
went it was right before Christmas. It was like November 20, might have been 11, maybe 2011, 2012. Either way, um, like I had already been to Iraq at this point. So this was my second tour in Korea. So I wasn't as freaked out, but it's still like because I was at Camp Casey, which is in Gyeonggi-do, which is like 13 kilometers from North Korea,
Yeah.
where Camp Casey, Camp Castle, probably the one in what's the one in Wijambu? Anyway, um, those are, as they say in Korea, speed bumps if there was ever an invasion. It's like it's going to be bad news.
Mm.
So, from a military standpoint, this is definitely concerning. Um, but at the same time, because they're doing it in the open, it's a little less concerning. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah, I guess
yeah,
everything like
I get it.
right now for them is more for display. That's
Yeah,
just
it's
it.
like, well, you're not really.
More like a show of force than
Mm.
anything.
Kind of. I feel like they're just kind of just being dicks, really.
Yeah,
I mean, they
yeah,
are. You know what I mean?
Saying
It's like,
it
look at us.
yeah.
Staying in
Yeah,
office for that
I think
long means you're really a dick.
so. Yeah.
Very true. Yeah.
Whether it's
And
Putin or Xi, either
yeah,
way.
I think sometimes people tend to underestimate Putin. This dude is KGB.
Yeah.
This dude has remained in power in one
Yeah,
of the
it's
most brutal
Regimes.
yeah,
situation
there's a
regime, yeah,
reason
in the
why
world.
Yeah.
there's a reason why he walks that way. It's because he's been used to having a gun on his side.
Bro, dude is no joke. I don't know if y'all caught the Tucker Carlson interview with him. Well, actually, it was like a 45-minute history class on Russia. But
Propaganda.
Yeah.
yeah, well, probably
Sort of.
yeah. Well, it depends on which side you're on. I don't know anything about Russian other than what he said. I haven't heard Zelensky. I know Ukraine was. I don't know. It runs really deep with them. But he's not a mindless dictator. The dude is
He knows what
obviously
he knows what he's
incredibly
doing.
intelligent. Yeah, calculated to the max. I guarantee you, everything is calculated.
Yeah. Just wondering, like, do you think it's the main I mean the root cause of the issue with Russia and the US and the rest of the countries is that right after the the conflict they were never actually invited into NATO.
That is a big part of it. It
I
is.
guess they should have been invited, right?
I think they were promised actually.
Were they?
I think somebody reneged on a promise.
Wait. Is this Russia or Ukraine?
When the Soviet Union actually fell.
Oh
So
yeah, I
yeah, yeah,
remember.
yeah,
I remember.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
NATO was inviting Russia, or there's this
yeah.
if I remember correctly, there are plans for NATO to include Russia in the alliance, but for some reason it didn't work, and perhaps it's for the better for the alliance because they have problems with Hungary at this point, but I digress.
Well, yeah, it feels like Russia was just a little upset that they were kind of lied to, and what's the word I want to use? They were kind of egged on, right?
Deceived? Not
Yeah,
necessarily.
and they kind of do the same thing to Ukraine. They dangle it in front of their face to kind of make them behave the way they want them to, but they don't really like give it to them. It's like a carrot on a stick type thing.
Yeah.
Do you guys feel that this is a destabilizing tactic for them? Because the election is actually nearing. With them that's actually displaying their forces right now. Would that affect the perception? You particularly, Chris, as an American, would you think U.S. citizens would actually their votes would actually be swayed by seeing this? Like, would I want a Kamala Harris dealing with these two countries, or would I rather have Trump?
I don't want Kamala Harris babysitting my children. Well, I don't want Trump babysitting my kids either, to be honest with you.
No.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, I think if this was reported on fairly and honestly by the state-run media in the US, then yeah, it would definitely maybe influence some because you're right. Like that's really the decision, right?
Yeah,
Because
because
fucking Biden ain't doing shit.
the problem with Hillary before it was just emails.
Well, she botched Benghazi. For those of you that don't know, watch
Yeah,
13
Benghazi, she
hours.
botched it. Yeah.
13
Watch
hours.
watch 13 hours. That
Yeah.
is her fault. 100% her fault.
Yeah, Benghazi
Um,
back at that time, but regarding the post she was actually leading, it was just when this Boy Scout, who was it that actually dropped the email news? The head of the
mm,
FBI. It was
I'm gonna
Comey,
say
right?
something. Yeah, I'm gonna say something that may be controversial, but I wholeheartedly believe it. Um, I don't think America as a society is prepared for a female president.
I think it is, but not the way that they're doing it right now. They're not
Yeah,
helping
well,
themselves.
Or
uh,
maybe it is, but it's not Kamala Harris.
that I would have to agree with you, gentlemen,
Yeah.
there to an extent for sure. If we can get someone, I really like Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah, same here. At
Yeah, I
Um,
one
think
point, I was thinking
she
about
has
Amy
a
Klobuchar.
yeah.
Like Amy Klobuchar would
Gabbard
have been good.
yeah, Gabbard is a much better head above shoulders. So yeah.
well, I mean,
Yeah, and
she's
military
military.
respect is one
She's
thing.
she's not afraid. Um, and I think that's an issue in politics. And I think it's an issue that Donald Trump doesn't have, and maybe other Republicans don't have, because basically they're kind of the underdogs when it comes to like media perception and media reporting. So you don't have to be afraid. You can kind of just go full steam because they're coming full steam at you. The Democrats, on the other hand, I feel are always afraid. Like they're afraid their base is gonna turn their backs on them, which is why you can never get a straight answer about really anything, because everybody can be anybody can be whatever. Illegals
Yeah.
are not illegals.
The weird thing about
It's
that concept of anybody can be anybody is just that you can't be a Republican.
Yeah. I mean, that's
be
I
anything
think
you
that's
want except a Republican.
yeah.
Like,
That's so true. That's so
That's
true.
yeah, that's the donkey mindset since the mascot of Democrat Party is the donkey, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely, yeah, perfect. I mean, they're a bunch of asses, if you ask me. Just it's perfect.
Nice
I
pun,
mean,
Chris.
I
yeah,
mean,
regarding the
and
Republicans
the
are what? Another fun?
penises,
Yeah,
just a
big dick
bunch,
energy.
Yeah,
Like,
elephant.
just bunch of dicks, bunch of redneck. My favorite politician in the world, by the way, is Senator Kennedy from Louisiana. The best. But yeah. But anyway, yeah, we've kind of digressed. But according to back to the China Russia thing,
yeah.
I'm always curious. We're talking about people's opinions and these things like societal things. From what I understand, from the research I did earlier today, the public opinion in Russia is they don't really trust China. Right, of course. Like, why would you? Right? Anybody, I feel like anybody with half a brain doesn't
Yeah.
fully trust China.
And basically, they still remember the Sino-Soviet split in the 1970s.
Yeah, yeah. So, but apparently, most Chinese citizens view Russia in a positive light.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. So it's like, do you think Chinese citizens are desperate for friends?
I think it's much more of a culture thing that they see these group of people that actually experience the same thing that they're experiencing. Like they're the only
Yeah.
people that can understand burn victims as a fellow burn victim, right? So
Mm,
Or
that's
maybe
true.
yeah. Or maybe because of the Asian culture of we're more of we just wanted to do some we just wanted to do some trade and all of that. But if you
Mhm.
do mess around with us, we can kick your ass.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, both of these countries have that arrogance about them, right?
yeah, and the funny thing about this is I've been talking to Sarah regarding this. We had discussion regarding the powers, the superpowers of the world. Like it's Russia, China, but we're kind of forgetting the most powerful country right now that's flying under the radar, which is actually South Korea. It's
South Korea's
Korea.
actually
killing it.
invade. It's actually invading countries culturally
Mm.
and in a
Haha.
societal manner.
Oh yeah.
It's actually
Yeah.
changing the way genders actually interact, the way genders actually act. The
And yeah. And
that
geopolitically, or let's
yeah,
just say militarily, they are also trading their weapons. I mean, Poland has Korean weapons. Their FA-50s, their K2 tanks, even some of the service rifles and machine guns. So I mean, you're Christian, both of you are right regarding uh Korea being a soft superpower,
Mm.
but they're also trying to be the hard version of it.
I tell you what, I trained next to the Rock Army, and those dudes ain't no joke.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anybody that's got fish eyes in their MRE, fucking badass dudes, if you ask me.
Have,
Did an
have you
MRE
seen
swap, and I was like, well, I starved to death with this bullshit.
have you seen the body of K-pop boy bands going through military training, them coming out
Have
at
you seen
like
have you seen the
how
100? Is that what
harsh
it's
was the
called?
training?
Not
All of a
sure,
sudden
but
building muscle mass by 200 pounds. Like
yeah, but I think one of the members of BTS just got discharged after mandatory service, and I guess he's a much more masculine guy than his than when he entered.
yeah, but the thing is,
Yeah,
going back to the China and Russia thing,
Physical
like
100. Have y'all seen Physical 100?
yeah,
Not
on
Okay.
Netflix.
yet.
Fuck,
Let me
dude.
check that. Let me check that out.
Those dudes. Here you go. Here's just a quick picture. These are just two Korean dudes. Ian, I don't know if you can see that.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I
Yeah,
see it. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
holy
You know,
shit!
in the words
don't let those pretty K-pop boys fool you. These are monsters in Korea.
in the words of the
Yeah,
late
they're jacked up.
in the words of the late great Bray Wyatt, run.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Like going
But
back
yeah,
to
no,
the
you're right.
China and Russia stuff. My question to you guys is, which party do you think is gonna jump on this news and actually use it as a platform, whether positive or negative?
Trump.
Yeah, I
Really?
think it's the Republicans.
Yeah. I think
Positive or negative?
he will spin it to where it seems that they're not afraid of the current administration.
Yeah,
Yeah. If
it's
I was I was president, this would never happen. Right? It'd be one of those type things. If I was president, they would have never invaded Ukraine. If I was president, October 7th would have never happened.
mhm.
Now you got
But I feel like
Sleepy
the entire
Joe and
the entire Trump administration, has there ever been any conflict between him and these countries? It feels like he's more cooperating during that time. That's why there wasn't any conflict.
well,
Yeah, that's also something I've observed. But how about you, Chris?
I think
Yeah, I think the moments
you
of
have
peace
to
back then was because he was actually just extending an olive branch, which I can't actually fault him. It should have been done a long time ago with these two countries.
well, I don't think you can out like manipulate these guys, right? Like I feel like US politicians would be like, "Hey, how are you? It's so nice to meet you." And Trump is like, "You see." And I think we've talked about this before, Christian, when Kim Jong Un or whichever one he is, the yeah, Un,
Yeah, Kim Jong Un.
right? He made that threat like we have missiles that can reach
Little Kim,
California. Yeah. And Trump tweeted or something and was like, if you even think about getting close to the US, I will bring hell down on you like nobody has ever seen. That's the type of rhetoric that Xi Jinping, the Kim, Putin, that's their language.
yeah, which is kind of weird, funny that it was the same rhetoric that JFK actually used during the Cuban Missile Crisis.
And you see what
Against
happened to
Khrushchev.
him.
Yeah.
And you see what happened to him. And now you see what's happened to Trump twice.
Shit.
Are we actually comparing Trump with similarities
No,
to
no, what I'm saying is if you oppose the deep state, that's what happens.
Oh well.
Yeah, but I mean, we can get into the assassination attempt. That shit crazy. Well, it wasn't even an attempt. It was foiled before anything happened. But
No
the
shots were
fact
fired, at least.
the fact that he was there and Trump was within that vicinity, a couple holes away, is crazy. But do I think this exercise will um shift anything geopolitically? No, not really. Because like I said, they've done it in the open.
not pretty much
See.
going to be affecting Southeast Asia, I guess. They're mostly centering around Europe and
Yeah.
Central America. Like,
Well, it's the same as when It's the same as when North Korea threatens the US and South Korea. Don't do exercises or else, then the US does it and nothing happens.
Oh yeah. But
It's kind of just,
yeah,
yeah.
it's crazy. It's crazy. But
Kind of just peacocking at this point, I think.
but I don't know what I, I don't know, but just to have a uh you know funny stuff before we move on on this
Mm.
show. I have a I have a friend who just so happens to be uh he looks like Kim Jong Un. He's the
Okay.
author of this book. He's the author of this book, The Man You're Meant to Be. His name
Okay.
is Anthony James Perez, and I just wanted to segue that because
Yeah, I'm gonna
he looks like
Google it.
Kim Jong Un. But anyway, I'm on a tangent. That was a tangent, but uh, I think what I can share to you at this point is
Yeah, saw the picture. He
yeah,
just a
you're
bit
right.
like
Yeah.
Yeah,
You have
he's
to
a bit.
flash that up on the screen.
Yeah.
oh, you could actually search
He's a
him.
he's a good he's a good contact of mine. I've known him um a long time ago. I think he's in America right now. He's working there, but yeah. Anyway, before I go on a tangent, what I wanted to share is uh I after the recording of our podcast, I actually uploaded a new episode of my own podcast, the Intrepid
I've seen it.
Podcast.
Mm.
Sorry if I plugged it, but
Go
sorry
for
I'm
it.
plugging it. But
Just keep
yeah,
plugging it. Like,
it's about three topics actually, but it's about Apollo Kiboloy and Linkin Park's new vocalist Emily Armstrong and
mhm.
the new study about the Shroud of Turin. So if you want to check that out, I would provide the link, uh, or we would provide the link to this in the description. And I guess what I can share on the three of that is I guess the new Linkin Park vocalist Emily Armstrong. Yeah,
Not
because
a fan.
because I think uh it's a good comeback, but at the same time, I'm a bit skeptical regarding her connections with Scientology. I think she already made a statement regarding it, but there are still these anti-cult crusaders who are saying that it's worth nothing. It's a non-apology and all that shit. But what say you, gentlemen?
Yeah,
Well, I
regarding the site.
think.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
I
Yeah.
wasn't 100% on board with her, but it's because nothing against her. I'm sure she's fantastic in her own right. Um, it's hard to imagine anyone but Chester in that position. For me, it's like it'll just never be. I probably will never listen. If they do any original songs with her, probably not my jam, honestly.
Like for me, for this one, I kind of consider Linkin Park having a legacy sound. Like you would only think of Chester when you think of their song. Like all the bandmates are good, but then again, when you
Mm,
hear Chester's voice, immediately you would know it's Linkin Park.
right.
Like the same thing that happened when it comes to Journey. Like they could have easily gotten a new vocalist, but they went out of
Mm,
their way to have someone sound like him. It was intentional. Fans were actually informed we are having a new one, not because we disrespect Steve Perry before, but because we want to preserve the legacy sound that you actually grew up with. So
right.
I don't think this was the intention of Mike Shinoda when he actually got Emily. I think his main intention was what is Linkin Park actually gonna be moving forward with new albums, because they did provide a new song that she's actually a lead in. Like at first I was actually not on board, but when I heard the new song, I kind of figure out that her inclusion was actually made because of this song that it actually fit her. We I don't know. We might need to actually listen to more of their new singles before we could
Yeah.
actually make any judgment regarding whether she's fit for the new Linkin Park band. But it's good to actually now consider that this is the post Chester era of Linkin Park. It's not going to be diminishing the the Linkin
Chester
Chester
era.
Bennington era. Like I've seen a lot of comments online regarding this is disrespectful. Even Chester Bennington's son is actually making comments regarding this, which I
Mhm.
understand. It's your dad. Like
Yeah, of course.
I can take that you're emotional regarding this, but people have to consider Linkin Park started without Chester. This was original Mike Shinoda's band.
Mm.
Chester was the last one to actually be brought in, and Linkin Park actually existed before. So he does have the right to actually make this decision. It's just out of respect that they took a hiatus after his death. And I figured Mike would know that there would be a backlash regarding them not only getting a new vocalist, but a female one. Regarding the Scientology stuff, I would discount that. It's the music that's important to me. I know people always deem it's hard to actually remove the art from the artist, but for this one, if I don't know that you're a Scientologist, I would just be vibing with with the music.
Mm.
And I guess
Uh,
there's also this vetting process with internally, and Mike has been, um talking with Emily regarding her connections, and perhaps there are Dead Sarah fans. Dead Sarah is basically Emily's former band. She is a co-founder of and vocalist of that band, and some Dead Sarah fans are saying that perhaps she was um cryptically going against the Church of Scientology with the music that her band is creating, and now that
mhm.
she has this new single with Linkin Park, it's just corroborating from with those allegations. And besides, it was speculated that Emily Armstrong is a lesbian, so Scientology isn't really on board with the homosexuality stuff. I think that's what I know. But uh as Christian said, we just have to. I don't know if it's Christian or Chris, but we just have to wait for the album. It's called From Zero, and
Mm.
it's gonna premiere, or it's gonna be released on November 15th, so around a month from now, as of this recording.
And I think
As of this
the album
show.
is and I think the album is aptly titled From Zero. Like they're starting from
Yeah.
scratch at this point. Like pretty much when you mention Linkin Park, all you can think about is Chester. The funny thing is there's a clip regarding an interview where Mike Shinoda where the interviewer doesn't even know who he is.
I
But
seen that.
Wow.
but she knew of the band of Linkin Park. Now
Wow.
I would
Yeah,
argue
well, I
that
mean,
if it was Chester that's being interviewed, the girl would actually know she's actually interviewing. Like no this on Mike, but he's worked on so many background projects for him to be thought of as in the forefront. He keeps changing his look, his hair. Like Chester been pretty much the same ever since.
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
yeah,
Yeah.
and Shinoda was the rapper keyboard dude, right? Like that's what people
Yeah,
mostly know him
Mm.
as.
And the
Fort Minor.
songwriter of some of the songs, or most of the songs actually, because Mike Shinoda is the major song or the principal songwriter of the band.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
but
a lot of
apparently she was also tied to Danny Masterson.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
that's the allegations that is connected to the Scientology shit.
Mm.
Everyone has skeletons in their closets, particularly on the internet. Like it's hard. It'd be hard pressed to not find one. Any of us actually here, particularly if
And
we've
there
been
are
online for so long.
yeah, and there are even music fans or Linkin Park fans who are saying, "Oh well, it's just the internet being the internet."
Yeah,
Like
well,
pretty
there's
much,
usually some truth in there sometimes,
yeah.
a
There
little
is some
bit.
truth if you think about it. But how soon can we audit people regarding what
Mm,
they've done in their past, when they could actually course correct their future, and actually us benefit from them by receiving good art, good music. Like
yeah. I mean,
Mike Shinoda being leading the charge in reviving Linkin Park. This is gonna be the Linkin Park of this generation. Like this is the Linkin Park that they will be growing up
right.
with. I can understand the title of the album, From Zero. Like
It's not
their
your daddy's Linkin
choice.
Park.
Yeah, they could have
Yeah.
gone for the legacy sound, but I figured Chester was too personal for actually Mike, since he was
So why
able to
not
actually write a song for Chester. Breaking the Habit was actually written by Mike for Chester.
why not rebrand? Why keep the same name?
Because Mike Shinoda originally owns it. Like before even actually
Yeah.
Chester was brought into the band actually
Yeah,
existed.
but why not just, you know what
We're
I'm
talking
saying?
about, it's Mike Shinoda we're talking about. He's pretty much tried to rebrand every time by
Mm,
building new bands that actually never took off. It's only Linkin Park that's been really recognizable to
And
contemporaries.
yeah, and what's smart about the name of the new album, From Zero, is that it also pays homage to the original name of Linkin Park, Zero with an X
Zero
instead of a
with an
instead
X.
of a Z.
I didn't know that.
So
Now you
I'm a
know.
casual. I'm a casual Linkin Park listener. It's not my style.
I don't
But
think
I
they're gonna
understand.
be, and I don't. What I'm gonna be peeved about if they actually remaster their previous tracks using Emily as a vocalist.
yeah, yeah, no, don't do that.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's
Don't
to
taint the
me
legacy.
that's a bridge too far for me
Yeah.
regarding
Yeah,
the acceptance
I
of that
guess
new album.
having
Good,
her on the singing the legacy tracks on live shows, that's
yeah, for the sake of the
yeah,
fans,
Yeah.
right? Building an
that's
album,
for the sake of the
monetizing it.
fans.
More.
But hey, I wanna jump onto something else that Ian mentioned a minute ago, because I'm curious if it's the same thing I heard about the new research with the Shroud of Turin. And
Mm.
is it
Oh
the
yeah,
fact is it the fact that the Shroud of Turin is a Da Vinci prank?
actually, actually, that's the problem because the radiocarbon dating is somehow skewed. I don't know. I don't know why scientists have skewed that research, but there have been a lot of studies that debunk this because there is this theory that the shroud itself was a hybrid between first century and medieval cloths because the original thing was partially burned
Hmm.
when the chapel it was enshrined in was burned. I think it was in France for some reason in the 19 in the medieval times. And French nuns uh did a repair job on the shroud, and that's the reason why there's these triangles because those were the burnt areas. And there is reason to believe that the scientists of that radiocarbon data back in the 1980s uh you know skewed the findings and uh used samples from the medieval patchings and not from the original cloth. Maybe that's the thing that's been being discovered recently.
So
Well, also
it's
in the 80s, like what were they what kind of technology did they have? Like a fucking etch a sketch, you know what I mean? Like nowadays
it's
you
just
could really yeah, like you could really pinpoint something
yeah.
now
So
compared to 40 years ago.
Oh
based on
yeah.
that piece of news, like, is Jesus Christ again a 6'7" white guy?
Not really a white guy, but a 6'7"
Was he six
uh
seven? Nobody was 6'7" back then.
I don't know if it's 6'7", but maybe above average, around five something. You mean I think Christian meant that
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
he
just
was five
hyperbole.
six,
oh,
five six
okay.
or 5'7". I think
What was the height in the
that's the average.
Shroud of Turin? What was Jesus Christ's height based on the Shroud of Turin?
I think it was
It's just
what
this.
I just from what I have researched, it's around 5'7" to 6'2". So within that range, and based on the details of the time, I think Middle Eastern people, the average height of Middle Eastern men is around 5'6". So basically, he's
Well,
a
I mean,
giant of a man. I don't
being
know.
the son of God has got to give you a couple inches, right?
Yeah.
Perhaps,
At
I mean,
perhaps.
least you have
if
a
I'm
couple.
gonna,
If you're gonna be nailed to the cross, you need to come with a couple of perks. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, perhaps.
What if they were like, oh shit, we need a bigger cross. This dude's a monster.
yeah,
Like, this is not
Perhaps that's
one size fits all.
yeah,
like someone from
perhaps.
the Middle East that's so soft during that time would have been killed before he was 30. Like he needed some physical characteristics that would make other people not want to fuck with him at an early age.
Yeah. And according to according to anecdotes regarding the life of Jesus, he had a job before revealing himself to be the Messiah, and that job is more of carpentry. I'm not sure if it's carpentry or um stone cutting. I'm not sure, but it's something physical that made him a little bit jacked up, you know.
In terms
What
of
I
these,
heard,
yeah, go ahead,
what I
Chris.
heard was Da Vinci used because we know that Da Vinci invented fucking almost everything way before we ever had helicopters and all this stuff. He was doing it.
Yeah.
He had this is like a pioneering photographic technique, and he was able to capture his own image on this cloth. And the fact that he told someone that he was going to do it. Who did he tell? The Turing Shroud, How Da Vinci Fooled History by Lynn Pickett, Clyde Princeton. Yeah, this book. Uh, I don't know if it's going to be here, but he told somebody, he's like,
Like that's a very elaborate prank to actually pull.
the
Yeah,
authors compared Da
very elaborate.
Vinci's painting with the image on the shroud and found that it matched up perfectly with the man on the shroud. While the authors can provide no proof that Da Vinci used his face as the model for the face on the shroud, their research claims a never before acknowledged connection between Leonardo and the shroud. Unfortunately, the author's fast-paced, detailed detective work results in little speculation. But that's just something, because I heard this the other day, and I was just curious if that's what you were talking about, that Da Vinci like pranked
Um
the entire world.
Not really. It's not really that. And
Okay.
besides, Da Vinci was somehow in the late medieval, early Renaissance. So I just think that if ever he was involved in it, it's it's probably impossible because the radiocarbon dating uh that was already skewed by that time um uh dated it around 1290 to 13 something. I'm not sure, but uh Da Vinci lived around the 15th to 16th century, right? So
Yeah,
it's
something like that. Yeah.
yeah, it's around at least 100 years before he was born. So the Da Vinci connection is not the latest study. I might provide you after the fact the study itself, the latest study on the Shroud of Turin. And it's gonna be, and I hope it would be provided also in the video description of this episode of the podcast. I'll provide it to you guys after the fact or after this show. But
Sure.
yeah, it's yeah, that's for me that's fascinating because um even though the Catholic Church is in possession, or not really in possession, but has some kind of um
Stake.
hegemony on this artifact. The fact that it's being studied in
Mm,
itself is uh provides reasons to believe that it may be Jesus. But the caveat that the Vatican is saying that we cannot prove that the man of the shroud is Jesus.
right,
That's their caveat. To
right,
be
right, right.
fair,
Do you guys think that, let's say per se, that the Shroud of Turin is actually artificially engineered? Do you think that's the reason why it's actually pretty hard to actually authenticate this thing? Because we gotten a lot of ancient artifacts before, and they were able to actually find out the authenticity of these artifacts. Like, why is this specific piece so hard to actually prove?
If I may give my personal opinion, um, I don't think they want to prove it
I
false
think people are actually scared
because
to actually know the truth about it.
it it puts cracks in faith if it's proven to be false. It'll put, and of course the Vatican is all about maintaining global dominance.
well,
And
I can't blame you for that.
But
yeah,
I mean,
piggyback from that, another factor could be is that this doesn't only revolve around science. This actually revolves around religion,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they don't want any
making
Yeah,
cracks in the
making
in the
objective thought
I
foundation.
think
actually harder.
yeah, there's
Mm,
I think that the Shroud of Turin is where science and religion meets.
I feel like they haven't met yet.
Well,
like I feel like they can't meet
it's not.
really.
I mean, it's the process.
Yeah, yeah, no, but it is well, I mean, the Dead Sea Scrolls, that's religious, right? Is that religious or just old as shit?
I think it's a mix of both.
Maybe. Everybody was telling stories back then. Uh but yeah, I don't know that it's one of those things where I think it's better left as is rather than trying to prove it either way. Just take it for what it is. It's like the Tower of Babylon, right? Like don't try to figure it out for yourself. Just let it be. That's how I see it, yeah.
Yeah, human race is actually naturally curious. I don't think that people would actually let this one go. And particularly for this one, since it's actually funding a lot of universities actually studying it.
And there's this
So
Yeah.
watchword, that some Catholics um have been there's this watchword that they some Catholics believe in. I'm not really sure if believe in or it's part of the conviction. It's a quote from a medieval saint named Anselm of Canterbury. It goes, "Fides quaerens intellectum," faith seeking understanding. And as a matter of fact, my partner, uh, she uh, she applies that in her own life.
Okay, oh yeah. I mean, it is, to each their own is the way I see it, man. Like, I don't know if there's been,
yeah, I think people actually fear this the most because I figured a lot of religions are going to be affected by this and the results and whether they prove this or not. Like this would affect the Catholics, this would affect the Jews, even the Muslims. Like
yeah, everybody gonna
it's
feel like, what the fuck?
it's gonna be a hard. The I pity the one who's gonna be going in front of the camera and actually stating whether this is authentic or not.
Yeah,
His life
Yeah,
is gonna be in danger after
at
that.
the end of it, I mean, at the end of the day, he's gonna have to face the repercussions of what he was supposed to say.
yeah.
I think those that have actually studied this already know the answers.
I feel like that's right.
Mhm.
I feel like it's being muffled. Because I mean, if they first did it in the 80s, they
Was it
probably know.
the 80s or
Yeah,
way
I
That's
think
what
before
it
it's
that?
the
is.
late 70s to early 80s. I think that's the time range of that radiocarbon dating.
Yeah, because
But yeah,
we can carbon date millions of years of actual when it comes to the environment. Like I don't think this thing actually predates the dinosaurs,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah,
only
it
what,
shouldn't
600
it shouldn't
years,
predate it shouldn't predate the dinosaurs.
right?
That's for
That we
sure.
can
That's for
actually
sure.
we, we can we can date carbon going back. So yeah,
I heard something that some evolutionists, some people believe that the Bible and the things that happen in the Bible happened at the same time there were dinosaurs. Have y'all heard this?
I haven't. I
uh,
haven't. I don't know,
Yeah.
man. I don't
my
know,
question
man.
to
It's a bit.
my question to them is, how can you fit the two T-Rex inside of the ark
Well, maybe that's why
without eating the sheep?
there was no asteroid. There was no asteroid. There was no asteroid. The flood killed the
But
dinosaurs.
I thought they were
I mean,
preparing. The flood hadn't come yet, so they could have.
That's why that's why crocodiles, fucking dinosaurs, bro, all day. Sharks, dinosaurs. Sperm whales, you can't tell me that's not a dinosaur. It's fucking huge. These aquatic things are the only dinosaurs left. Why? Because the rest of them were wiped out with the flood.
not really the
Well,
flood,
I
but the
don't.
asteroid.
Well, I think the asteroid. So
And to quote a famous movie, I think Noah should have brought a bigger boat.
Yeah, but
but I mean
anyway,
the whole. I don't want to poke holes in religion, but the whole arc thing is ludicrous anyway.
But
Because I
they
mean,
have
you said,
found us. They have found the location of the ark, right?
well,
some say it's in
Supposed
Mount
location.
Ararat. Mount Ararat.
yes,
I'm not sure
sound
if
like
it's
a
in the Turkish side or the Armenian side because Ararat is divided between Turkey and Armenia. If I'm not mistaken. My geography
yeah.
is
It
not
wasn't on
mistaken
like a
because
was it on a
yeah,
mountaintop or something?
Yeah, Mount Ararat.
not sure if it's mountaintop, but yeah.
The
But
northwest
legends say it's in Ararat,
the northwest side of Mount Ararat in eastern
northwest.
Turkey.
So that means it's in the
Eastern
the
Turkey.
Turkish side. Yeah, in
Yeah.
the Turkish side. Yeah.
But I don't know if this has been confirmed that it is. Like a lot of things in the world hasn't been confirmed yet.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Bible Answers dot study. Do dinosaurs predate Adam and Eve? That's a that's a question, bro. That is a
Yeah.
question for that ass. Uh,
Yeah.
Many people believe we can't reconcile dinosaurs and the Bible, but they are wrong. This belief is based on the supposition that the Bible teaches in Genesis chapter 1 that the earth and the human race was created by God some 6,000 years old, and therefore the dinosaurs, a part of creation, lived with Adam and Eve and their children. The belief that the earth is some 6,000 years old is called the young earth theory. Yet, we may have been surprised to learn that several centuries ago, scientists did believe in dinosaurs and ancient earth and in creation week.
Yeah, I figured if God wanted to populate the earth, he would have gotten rid of the dinosaurs because I find it hard to actually populate it with that many predators there.
Perhaps. Yeah.
So
Perhaps that's the plan.
sentient dinosaurs with Adam and
Yeah.
Eve.
That would have been crazy.
This is really deep. This could be a whole other episode.
Oh
Yeah.
boy.
Well,
Oh
I'm still gonna
boy,
be
that's gonna be
supposedly alive by
exciting.
Friday, so we could talk about it.
Yeah. But all right, well, just like the dinosaurs, it's time for us to get the hell up out of here too.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so thanks for joining another episode. Go check out Ian's podcast, Intrepid, is that what it is?
The Intrepid Podcast. That's
Intrepid
the name of the
Podcast, yeah.
podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, check out Ian's stuff. Be sure to, like, comment, subscribe, share, and be on the lookout for us going live here pretty soon. Because we really want to interact with some of the viewers that are interacting with us. So yeah, until next time,
Yeah.
for Christian and Ian, I'm Chris. See y'all later.
Bye bye.